Hi everybody. It's actually been 3 months since the last time I vlogged, and in that time I was not in Hungary, which first of all, that means I had almost no exposure to Hungarian the entire time I was gone. I listened to maybe a little bit of music right before I left and a little bit after I left, but you know, it's pretty much like no Hungarian input for 3 months. And then just a couple days before I came back, I was talking to a Hungarian and I felt like I had forgotten everything, which, I mean, if you're only 3 months in, you kind of believe it can happen. Like, this happened to me years ago, when I was in Spain for a week, and I felt like I couldn't speak German anymore, but I knew that wasn't possible. With Hungarian, I thought, well, like, maybe it's gone. But fortunately, it was like throughout the conversation, and then over the next couple days, some words started coming back to me. And then when I first arrived and I was, you know, hearing the conversation in the bus and like the announcement in the bus and all this stuff, I would find myself like thinking of different things that I knew how to say, like even if I didn't actually say them, the words were going through my mind. And there's definitely a lot that I learned that just didn't sink in. But there's still a few things that I actually know. But, okay. The reason why... how do I say this? Part of the reason I'm here is, of course, to learn Hungarian. And initially I was planning on coming back as soon as possible. I left at the beginning of December, and then I realized I was just too exhausted to travel in January, and I ended up having a lot of other stuff going on where like I really couldn't have come back then anyway. And then I had stuff I needed to do in February, so I couldn't make it back until March. And then I find out at like the last minute that this host family I found, they were actually expecting me to work as an au pair for them, which I didn't know at all. I was, you know, really shocked because when I contacted them, I had on my profile and in my first message to them, I was explaining, you know, I know this is like an exchange where you typically expect work, but because of my health problems, I can't, and I wanted to see if you would be willing to host me anyway. You know, but I understand this is unusual and it's perfectly fine if you can't. And then, you know, she responded and said, yeah, sure, you could come. And then, you know, when I said, yeah, I already have my ticket there, but I have something I need to do a few weeks later, so I'm gonna have to leave after just maybe 3 weeks. And then I find out, oh, I'm supposed to be the au pair. So I guess it was a good thing we cleared that up before I actually arrived. But that means that really I'm like totally out of options to stay any place for free. I went through couch surfing and another similar site before I came last year. And I was messaging people for a couple months before I arrived, up until like, you know, maybe a month after I arrived. And It's just really difficult to find people, especially because I need a place to stay for ideally a couple weeks instead of just a couple days. And yeah, and so then once I ran out of hosts and I started in the hostels, I signed up on this other website where you're actually supposed to work in exchange for a place to stay. And you know, tried to ask if they would make an exception for me. That didn't work out. So then when, you know, except for this whole host family where I didn't realize I was supposed to be working. So then once I found out that this wasn't going to work with the host family, I tried it on Couchsurfing again. I tried it on another similar website, and now I feel like I've exhausted everything I can think of. There's no way that I'm going to find free accommodation in Hungary, which is unfortunate because of the situation I'm in, where I really can't afford to pay for accommodation at all. And I've been really fortunate that I haven't had to. But I realize that if I want to learn Hungarian in Hungary, I'm not going to be able to do that until I'm financially in a position where I've got enough money for food and rent. Which means I'm going to have to rethink this whole plan. You know, am I going to be able to learn Hungarian through Immersion at all? Am I going to have to give this up? Or is there any way that I can learn Hungarian without being in Hungary? That's something I would rather not try to do, just because if you're not immersed, then learning becomes much more of a chore. It would be really difficult for me to focus at all and just to find the motivation. You know, I just feel like you waste a lot of effort and make almost no progress. So that's not something that works well for me at all. Haven't quite figured out what to do there yet. But the other thing was that I was applying for this residence permit,